Hello and
Hey.
welcome back to the Mayor's Update.
This is incredible. We just finished council, and for those of you that were streaming council tonight, thank you for staying on or going on to Mayor's Update. It's really unique when we get to a Tuesday council meeting and have to be done council by 6:30.
Yeah.
I was going fast today. It worked really well. But we've got a few things to share from council, a number of community events as we start to move into late February and early March.
Yep.
So we've got lots to cover tonight. So thanks, but don't forget your questions of us. If you find questions you need to ask us, we've got lots to do.
This is a Q&A. We got a hello from Brett Longfield.
Hey, Brett, good to have you on. We're going to, we know we'll get more questions tonight because we've got a couple things. So let's just go ahead and get started. And for those of you joining us, please share with your friends right now that you're watching Mayor's Update so they can also watch live and ask questions and talk about the city of St. Thomas and what we're doing. We couple things on. It was a very short agenda tonight at City Council. We talked about cross-jurisdictional care agreements with our neighboring municipalities, and that has to do with childcare. So someone, say in West Lauren who works in London, you're supposed to take your childcare, of course, in the city, in the municipality you live in.
Really?
Right? That's
because
the
you're
most
paying taxes
obvious.
to the,
Right.
Yep.
And we've now working on cross-municipality borders for people. So say you work in London but live there, you can go to a London daycare.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because you're going to go to work, drop your child off, go to work, and then come home. And the same thing we've had one in place with the City of London for a little while, and Tillsonburg also in the east end of Elgin County. So we're just verifying and putting together the cross-border childcare agreements with all the municipalities. So, and it's reciprocal. So if you do an agreement one way, it works the other. And so since the city of St. Thomas runs childcare for all of Elgin County, we're the ones putting the agreement together with all the other neighboring communities. That was what that one was. This one, when it came out on the agenda last Wednesday, caused a lot of comments and a lot of answers being given. We're looking at involving a couple of small pieces of property we own on Ross Street by the Jonas Park area as surplus land, so that we can start to be bold as a community and start the process to renovate the railway lands, the whole area. Now we know that there's been conversations between the Elgin Railway Museum and that owns a lot more of the land, and Doug Terry Limited, who also owns some land along Talbot Street and some of the other land, and has been negotiating with the Elgin Railway Museum for their property. We felt if we didn't take the bold step of moving forward and saying the city will offer its property in to this project to accomplish a couple things. One, that we would at least get it started. We'll help with the negotiations on the railway land by saying the access in off Ross Street, Center Street extension, if you will, in off Ross Street, has to pass through the land that the city currently owns. Two little triangles of almost useless land, and one of them has Jonas Park in it. Now, guaranteed, we're not touching Jonas Park. I think the Doug Terry group has said we don't need to go that far, so that parkette will always stay there.
Okay, so Jonas Park,
we call it Jonas Park
because
the blocks are in an area we call Jonas Park. But Jonas Parkette, the way it is now, and where the Trans-Canada Trail is, the Doug Terry group has made full that they will work with the Trans-Canada Trail to make sure which route it needs to take, and they will work with the Centennial Sports Club, so they'll continue to have access into their building right there at the end of Jonas. And that Jonas Parkette will stay right where it is till the full design comes out, and likely will stay that way for a long time. But when the full design comes out, if we can get way more parkland very close to that area, then that would be part of the secondary plan that has to happen. By us moving this forward, it starts two other processes. One, it will hopefully finish the negotiations between Doug Terry Limited and the Railway Museum on the land purchase, and finish the negotiations on where the railway tracks will run. As it stands right now, We're talking about one running in front of Queso Station,
Mhm.
down to the Railway Museum, and going to the transfer table at the Railway Museum. Maybe another way to attach the Railway Museum from the west,
Mhm.
but that's all now into their court and their conversations. The remedy on the railway lands, because we know them all to be contaminated, they're brownfields,
Mhm.
could then start. We could start the remediation, but mostly what we'll do is we've asked tonight at council that the block of Ross Street, Talbot Street, Queso Crossing, and Wellington Street can now have a secondary plan started where we get lots of input from the public around it, the other landowners around it, because there are a few other small landowners around it or landowners around it. But let's start the conversation on getting our railway lands downtown to be a center part of our community and have the downtown of St. Thomas include what we'd call the railway lands.
Fantastic.
So we took the first step today. These two pieces of property we own, we said we're putting them on the table so that we can get this secondary plan back with the knowledge to know that we're offering these up as an access into that land. So that was done tonight. Questions on that? We'd love to have it.
Yes, we've got a hello from Margaret Knight. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for joining us. And she's asking, after tonight's meeting, the New York Central Paul Diamond is no more?
No, it's still there, and the kids will be playing ball on it for a long, long time. But we're going to have a secondary plan for that whole area as to what else will be on what we'd call the railway lands. And Sarah says
That's Margaret. She's
Margaret.
on her daughter's account.
Margaret's saying yes, Jonas Park is staying. Yes, of course, everything is staying certainly for now. But as we said tonight, if we can get a really good deal on a downtown park in that area, we'll look at what else can happen. But right now, Doug Terry Limited and St. Thomas has said that's staying right where it is for now. We're just making it so that we have access in off Ross Street.
Very good. And she also mentions that her paternal family all grew up on Barnes Street, and the park is a great park to play, etc.
Well, and I get it. And I'm having a lot of people this week saying that's the only park for a whole section of St. Thomas. Well, I can't take credit or blame for what previous councils did in not building parks in that area, but we're happy to say, and I've had certainly face-to-face conversations with Doug Terry about this. He's trying to make a walkable park trail system all in that area. And so, yes, we're not losing what we have. We're gaining more if Doug does the concept that he wants to do.
Right. And based on their track record, like they're the ones who helped fund a lot of the elevated park, which connected the Great
We wouldn't
Canadian
have trails
Trail
in this
across.
community. We wouldn't have half the trails in this community if Doug Terry Limited, Doug Terry in particular, didn't help make it all happen. So I feel pretty comfortable. Doug, and going back generations in his family, to Dad at least, recognized the good part of what we needed to do. I think Dad was one of the original founders of the Elgin Railway Museum. And so, well, we'll see as we move forward what is possible in St. Thomas, but without us being a bit bold and moving forward today. And I got to tell you, in the last week, I had so many naysayers. Well, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I said, all we're trying to do is move the community forward. My whole time here, 35 years in this community, has been faced with that being an active rail line or a crappy piece of grass with rail tracks running through it. Can we hope for more? Yes, we can. And this council said, let's move forward and do more. All right. So we started it tonight. Remember, tonight is when it started. Tonight we did it. Also on the agenda tonight, really nothing else. No, it was really a very, one of those agendas where you got to have a meeting because it was a Monday night, even though it's not a Monday night, it's a Tuesday night. So what else have we got for questions? Anything else coming in?
We've got a shout out from Faye Gallagher. Hi,
Great.
Faye.
Hi, Faye.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And then we also have another question about housing. So this is from Matt Kelly, saying, any chance for housing intensification with this potential parkette?
Absolutely. That's what Doug's looking to do, is to have a live-play zone in downtown St. Thomas. So, whether there may be underground parking under the parks, right, and buildings above that you live in, and trails that you can walk to and connect to Talbot Street,
Hmm.
All of the above. I mean, I love
It's like a modern community.
Absolutely. What his vision is for fairly contaminated land is incredible. We're happy to have a good community builder like him in our community saying, let's go forward and do it right. But all of this is going to take a while for us to do a secondary plan, what it might be. Look, we even heard tonight, well, the railway lands are designated heritage. And okay, fantastic. No problem. Heritage Committee, take a look at it and bring a report back to council. But don't tell us what we have is what we want to save. I'd rather save something better than that. Some scrub grass with some railway lines running through it is not what I consider heritage. So I recognize many trains used to run across that area, but promise has been that a train line will now run behind Queso Station so they can be connected by rail, because as it currently sits, they cannot. There's not a rail close enough. So we'll give that connection, and then a connection to the Railway Museum. St. Thomas is anxious to continue its railway heritage, but we can't do it by just leaving it where it is today.
Speaking of railway heritage,
yes,
there's that property that's the connection to CN. Like CN basically cut the connection to
at the old triangle.
Yeah.
Well, there was a diamond there that the LMPS used to go straight through, and the CN line came across. CN bought everything to that side of the diamond, and now he uses it to transport trains out of its line. There is still a commitment under the Transportation Act to connect this line back up. At least to connect so that there can be rail traffic that can get to the Railway Museum, LMPS. So we continue to negotiate that with CN. We feel with the amount of business we're about to hand CN from a PowerCo point of view, we're in a pretty good bargaining spot, and we continue to have that negotiation. CN is not easy to negotiate with. My whole time as an MP and now my time as mayor, so over a period of over 20 years, we've been trying to get this done.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're trying to sell off that land to a private landowner.
Well, they had to offer it to us first, and we said, sorry, you can't do that. Talk to us, so we're doing it.
Okay.
The understanding is there's some fencing going up along the CN property now. Well, they're having a trespass problem, and so I think that's what they're trying to fix, and we've asked them already. Be sure you're doing what you can do, or we'll ask you to undo it. So those are the conversations happening right now with CN.
Very good. Another question in from Margaret McKnight, and she's asking about the woodlot across from John Wise School. Can it be cleaned up with a walking trail? So that's one up by Pinafore Park.
Well, and the Whistle Stop Trail does run up there, and then there's some bush lots that run off it. You know, I've had a lot of conversations with some of the students from John Wise and from Parkside, right? You can't grab a garbage bag every so often and go pick up some litter. I'm not saying I don't do the same thing. I walk the Whistle Stop Trail. It runs beside our apartment building. And we see many people who clean up along the trail each day. But it's amazing how bad it gets by the public school and by the high school, right? I'd love to see that activity become part of the environment club or whatever else there might be at Parkside or at John Wise to come on out and help us clean it up. Right?
Question from Brett Longfield.
Yes.
What is the process and price cost of selling lands declared as surplus via sole source?
Well, there's a bunch of different things. On this case, we said, as the city of St. Thomas, can we offer the land for future potential of what might happen downtown if our little two pieces of land that really have almost no value, you can't put a building on them. They're not big enough, or it'd be a very small building, a house or something. So we declare it surplus here at council when we either have someone who would like to purchase it because it's it will fit what they want to do, or we see future community potential. And this one here, that's what we've done. But in if you watch the council tonight, Jeff Bray read off all of the conditions we're asking of Doug Terry and everybody else that have to be met for this land to actually transfer to be part of that. But the other thing that's already been offered by Doug Terry is we offer a couple of little pieces, and at the end, we end up back with parkland, the railway lines that run through the area, and connections to Talbot Street and to Queso Crossing. And so, look, and we think it's a pretty good trade if all that happens. But we're at step 1, and those are step 8 or 9. So we're offering our surplus land, and this is a bit different than normal, but we're offering our surplus land to start the project going. We know it doesn't have much sale value. At the end, when it's all done, it might be worth a whole lot more, but none of this would have happened if the city didn't declare it as surplus.
Right, and that's a conversation, absolutely, because you're like, okay, like now that land, once it's connected, is worth that high value, like you're saying. Both have that connection. It makes no,
but we wouldn't have got
no
it.
value at all.
And so I was sitting up there tonight, pointing at the mayor's chair. I said, this is us being bold about getting a large project started with no real cost to us. It's little corners of land that we purchased as part of the railway land. Hey, and it's ours if it doesn't go through. It comes back to us. It's all been said. This is what will happen if this whole project can't work.
So if A, B, and C doesn't happen, you get the land
still
back.
Still us.
There's no
and
loss,
so, but I've never been yes is the answer. What's the question? In this case, can you develop a huge part of our downtown into a railway heritage housing and park situation? The answer is yes. But everybody's got to come to the table and say, let's do it.
Right.
So
everybody getting on board.
Yeah, that's why the council started it tonight. This is a council that over the last 5 years has proved it can be bold and get some big things done. So if you're looking for railway heritage in our community, we're going to help you get it. If you're looking for parkland in our community, we're going to help you get it. If you're looking for more trail connection through our city, specifically along the Trans-Canada Trail, we're going to offer our land to see if it can happen, and we'll keep moving it. We'll keep moving forward on it. So,
Now, you were a part of a very large meeting last week.
Oh yeah, the
with
mayor's
all
luncheon.
the mayors. That was a sold-out event that the Chamber of Commerce hosts every year.
Yes,
and
I was looking for your support, and you weren't there. No, I'm just. We had a great time.
Yeah,
it was great. Mayor
I
Jones
was not
and
able
Mayor
to
Sloan
attend.
And us we have a great friendship between the three of us. We're moving forward on what our area can look like, including London, the whole of southwestern Ontario. We had lots of conversation about that, and we'll carry on. We'll keep doing it. We recognize we've got a lot of people coming here to live and work. We better be prepared for them to come here and live and work, whether it's in St. Thomas or Central Elgin or Southwold or surrounding area. We'll just keep moving forward. I'll take the positive side and say this is what we can accomplish over the next 5 years. Our plan says we can accomplish it. We'll help other municipalities do it too.
Very good. Got a question in from Brett Longfield. What is the public interest in council helping to facilitate a land assembly for Doug Terry Limited prior to undertaking of a secondary plan for the area bound by Ross Street, Talbot Street, Welling Street, and Queso Crossing?
Okay, the answer is none of it can move forward without a secondary plan. So because we were bold enough to say we're offering this piece of land to the availability so that Doug Terry might move forward with his negotiations with the Elgin Railway Museum and the lands in front. Hasn't done it yet, can't do it because it's landlocked by our two pieces of land. All right. So we said, let us be the catalyst that starts this going. And then the secondary plan still has to occur. We've got, as I said, maybe step 8, right? We're down the road, including the Heritage Committee looking at the heritage aspect of the land. The secondary, if that's going to be the case, then he will be the largest of the land developers in that area or land owners in that area. And so we will make him responsible for helping us with the secondary plan and, in fact, paying for it, right? But with public input, what should be on this land? And at which point he can then show some of his concept drawings of what it looks like from a housing and a trails point of view and a parkland point of view. So,
and in terms of the public interest, if we get more housing on land that's underdeveloped right now,
can't be developed,
not being
it's
used,
brownfields. Right. It's industrial land that would need its zoning changed. The city just simply started the process to get us to that secondary plan, which gets us to a rezoning document that says we can do housing on it and put parks on it. That gets us to a heritage document that says we're doing the right things. Look, we're just starting. We're starting, but
and tertiary to that,
right?
Then the Railway Coalition has the funds to fix a railway museum that is in sore need.
I'm still not sure that happens, but it's at least a step towards it, right? Right now, the Elgin Railway Museum is land rich and cash poor, and they've got a building that needs a pile of cash. The only way that group has said among itself, and of course there's always 5 naysayers or whatever number there might be, can never be remodeled, can never be fixed if it doesn't sell off its land and use that money to do that type of work. So yes, that's right next door to this park, right next door to that land development, right next door to other opportunities that Doug Terry owns, like the new PowerCo office downtown. And so
so there are a lot of moving pieces in this.
Geez, but if
if it all comes
let's
together,
move forward. Let's say yes to it instead of saying, "Well, why did you do that first?" Right? Well, we were bold and we went out first and said, "Let's offer our land if this happens, if this happens, if this happens." And one of them is that a secondary plan for that railway heritage area gets done. So I don't know why that would have to go first. It wasn't happening. 30 years of my life in this community, and nobody's brought together a secondary plan for that area, including council. Now we have.
And what was really cool too was a thing that popped up in my news feed,
right?
About the queso station when it was first purchased back in 2001, 2004.
I saw that.
Matt James posted it.
Well, I was part of that group at that time when we first purchased the. What was it called? Was it On Track? Wasn't called On Track. Might have been.
It was On Track, yeah. And it was, and the queso station's in the picture, and it's all boarded up with plywood, all the windows.
Like you should have seen what it looked like inside, Grayden.
Can't imagine.
When that first became as a piece of railway heritage and has now got this far to its fixed up.
So incredible.
Let's run a train to the back platform. That's also part of this, and it's said that will happen. So if we can run a train to the back platform and then following further along over to the railway museum so that cars can be delivered to and from the railway museum, look, if that's all we accomplish, I'd be pretty happy. But if we accomplish housing and parkland on top of it, look, this mayor is pretty excited about the steps taken tonight.
Another question from Brett is, how will the urban design competition hosted by Fanshawe College, which is sponsored by Doug Terry Limited, factor into the future of the rail lands?
Exactly. That's the start of the secondary plan. Doug's saying, let's get some more input. What do you think it should look like? What do you think should sit there? Part of it is also urban renewal in the sense of removing the brownfields that the railway lands currently is. So he's asked Fanshawe, would you participate in this? And who else wants to? Come on out. Fill your boots with how to do it.
There's so many cool ways to do it. My cousin was actually involved in the Fanshawe program and in putting designs together for the railway lands, which is pretty cool.
And I know a whole group of them went to Chicago this year, I think connected to this, to look at what was done to some lands there and how it could look.
Very cool.
All set, ready to do it, right? First step.
Now we've got to talk about Opus Pretzels.
Let's do all the different things. Opus Pretzels. Opens Friday night, but it's open, right?
It's open.
But you can, but Friday night is their 5:30 to 7:30 is Friday evening. Pretzels at Opus Pretzels. If you have not been to Opus Pretzels downtown, please come.
The best pretzels.
I bet you've already been there because if you're really into pretzels, I know you and me.
Any baking, I love baking.
Right. So that's happening this Friday, 5:30 to 7:30. Also going on Friday night is the mixed provincial doubles curling championship at our curling.
Right. Very exciting.
So I'm there instead of at Opus Pretzels. I've had to send someone to Opus Pretzels. Hey, look, you can beat Joe Preston and get free pretzels. And I've got to go do the opening ceremony we love it when other people come to our community to compete.
Absolutely. This is huge.
Right? So that's happening February 22nd to 25th this weekend at our own curling club. Thursday, February 22nd, Human Trafficking Awareness Day, flag raising proclamation at 10 o'clock in front of City Hall. At 11 o'clock, we don't even get a chance to clean up before we do the next one. It's World Thinking Day. We talked about that last year, and it's a proclamation for the Girl Guides, I believe, and a flag raising. So that happens at 11 a.m. on the same day. So one right after the other. We've got the Shamrock Shuffle coming up at
Sure
the end,
do.
and we're going to share a lot more about it. But if you haven't signed up yet, there is a 5K run, a 5K walk, and a 2K family walk. And as I just announced tonight, there's a 1.5 meter dash by the mayor. So I'll be looking for sponsors for that. I'm not going too far. But I do hold the Canadian record for the 1.5 meter dash.
And we've talked a lot about finding ways to help people that are experiencing homelessness in our community. This
is for the inn.
This is one of the number one ways you can help to make sure that people have a place to go at night when it's cold, get meals. The inn provides this 24/7, 7 days a week.
And the wraparound services that are available there through the healthcare and through mental health supports and addiction supports. We've done a great job of making our emergency shelter viable and working well and not overflowing. So this community, help them out with the Shamrock Shuffle, sponsor someone, or bring your family out for a 5K walk or a 2.5K family walk. Sponsor all you can, and then come volunteer and work the event. If you go to their website at the end, and you can choose which of those you're doing or all of those that you're doing. We have the coldest night of the year coming up this Saturday, February 24th. It is. That's Saturday.
So fast.
The Youth Unlimited. This is another group that's helping a lot with our homelessness issue, certainly youth homelessness. They run a youth homeless shelter here on Edward Street. And out of their building on Saturday night, they do a walkathon again. They don't need you to come out and walk if you can't, but you can go online right now and give to a team that is walking. And so it is a fundraiser. It needs your help right now on the fundraising. So please help us with that. Coming up also on Women's Day, and I think that's March. Doesn't matter.
March 6th, you talking
March 6th.
The big concert?
The Elgin Business Resource Center concert for Women's Day. And they're asking you to please also participate in it. They thought the tickets would be flying off the walls, and they're starting to, but they need your help to be at the event. I think I've already penciled in, so that's
I'll be in LA, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would be there in a heartbeat.
Because helping out women in Elgin is not important.
I will be supportive, absolutely supportive.
So we'll mention established media a few times that night, but that's coming up. There's a lot of things going on for it being late February.
Yeah, it's starting to heat up, and it's just going to get more and more busy in our community from here on out.
Yes. I know. I think we should apologize because I think we promised the fire chief tonight too, and he's not here tonight. So I'm guessing next week is when we promised the fire chief. However, we got more stuff going on, so we'll figure it out. Right?
We've got a question in from Rob Stern about the railway tracks.
Go ahead.
He says, Joe, one track to the transfer table is not enough. Track has to remain to the two large west doors.
Okay, so this is part of again. We're starting tonight. We're not finishing tonight, right? This is the negotiation the Railway Museum can have with Doug Terry as to where he can put tracks, where he will make the railway lands, and our railway heritage can carry on. Perfect. Thank you. Right? What we're talking about tonight is we've got some land started so we can start this project and let Doug finish his negotiations with the Railway Museum. And if it takes two lines around the west side or in that west door, that's that door right at the front that we did such good fireworks or smoke at my wedding at that venue. That has a set of tracks that go into it too. Great. Great. Let's talk about making it all work.
Absolutely. I think it's such a big part of our community. It's such an amazing space.
Right.
We have to
so if the line can go through in the west side and out back to the transfer table, that'll be fine too. I have no problem with it, but I don't know. I make hamburgers, and I'm the mayor of a city. So yes, if you're right, get those negotiations going. Get the conversation going.
Absolutely. Brett Longfield saying, how can the citizens of St. Thomas and the greater community continue to contribute to the future of the rail lands moving forward as matters develop?
Well, you can attend meetings, but I'm not suggesting that that's the most productive piece. Why don't become part of the Railway Museum and their volunteer structure if you want to join them from a fundraising point of view.
Become a member.
Sure, absolutely. This is how they will be able to save the great railway heritage that they've accumulated. As we've already said, the design students, we've got Fanshawe students involved in what this land might look like and how we might do it. Reach out to Doug Terry and his team and see how else you can be part of the volunteer structure of it.
Yeah,
I know that the Queso Station still asks for volunteers for all the time.
Yeah.
And so if we're starting to connect working rail lines between the Queso Station and the LMPS line and to the Railway Museum, be part of it. But certainly do exactly what you're doing tonight. Join Mayor's Update, watch City Council when we say, let's start moving forward and let's get as much discussion going as we can, right?
Because we all want to move ahead forward in a
Yep.
positive direction. That's at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Yeah. Hey, the answer is yes until it's not. So we're going to move forward with redeveloping our railway lands to the point where they can maybe be housing, they can maybe be parks, they can maybe be trails, they can maybe be workable rail lands. But what we can't leave is what we have right now: contaminated land covered with a few railway tracks that we can't even hold a public event on.
Yeah.
So let's work together for what we think it looks like, and we'll only have minor differences. Then, well, you better not touch it because you might wreck something we already have, because there really isn't anything there to wreck.
Yeah, and that's another point. We've had some public events on there, but then we were told we can't. Yeah, it's been through, is it the provincial or the federal government? One of the regulation bodies came in.
Well,
and said,
it was the city.
You can't actually do anything. Oh, it was the city?
Well, I mean, that's who made the final decision. I would have just kept holding events on there and slowly got it cleaned up and capable of holding events. But that's before my time, and I'm always a beg forgiveness rather than ask permission kind of guy. The answer is yes. It's a railway heritage event on railway lands. Where else would you hold them? Right? But thank you.
All right, we're over our time, but I thought it was important to get those last questions. Really appreciate the input, guys. That's what we're here for. It's a Q&A. It's an open forum. It's for you.
Share it with your friends. We said a lot tonight.
Take care, guys. See you next week.